Welcome everybody to today's program. Today we're going to show some highlights from the Western New York Genealogical Society collection. My name is Rhonda Hoffman. I'm the genealogy specialist at the Grosvenor Room at the Central Library in downtown Buffalo. The Grosvenor Room is our special collections department where we have genealogy, local history, maps, music scores, and rare books. And you never have to make an appointment to come to the Grosvenor Room unless you want to view a rare book. So the Society's library is called the June P. Zintz Memorial Library of the Western New York Genealogical Society. It is located in the Grosvenor Room. It's open the same hours as the Central Library in Buffalo. You don't need an appointment to view the collection. You don't need to be a member to view the collection. These are images from the collection. We've got a couple different aisles of books. So both sides here are part of the collection. And then in this second picture, down this side of the aisle is the collection. And then there are a number of microfilmed resources as well. The society does have volunteers, usually once a week. The days and times are announced on the Wings Facebook group and also on the library website. So if you were to go to the library website, it'll say right on that screen, and I'll show you that at the end of the program. If there happen to be any cancellations, if someone's sick or something and can't come to volunteer, then the cancellations are announced on the Wings Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Wings Facebook group, I encourage you to join. You don't have to be a member of the society to join the group, and you can ask questions, and people are usually very helpful with their responses. But just because there's not a Wings volunteer doesn't mean you can't get assistance with the collection. Of course, the library staff are always available to help with the collection. One of the items is called the Vital Index of Early Western New York Families, and it's in these cabinets that you see right here. It's an index card file of names. And the names are in alphabetical order, so you can see the name range on the outside of the drawer. It's an index of over 70 items, which are mainly found in the Wings collection. It's mainly an index of books, but there are some periodicals and some microfilmed resources indexed as well. This is the source list, which is available near the collection. Every card has a number on it. So you look up your person's name. If you find them, there's a number on the card. And the number corresponds with the numbered items on this list. So here's an example card. This is the type of information you'll see, just some basic details. So here we have Silas Potter. And the M would mean a marriage. So he was married December 25th, 1848 to Anna Baker. And this citation can be found on page 14 in the source, which this is source number 3. This is where the numbered item, the number for the item is listed in the top right corner. And then if you look at the list, you can see that number 3 is early marriages up to 1880 from early newspapers on the microfilm at the Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society Library. Here's another example. The listing will also list the Wings call number. So here the number is Chautauqua 9, and then here's the number 9. And then the Wings call number is usually at the end of the cited work. So you can see it's 974.7 CHAYOU. Occasionally something is indexed that's not part of the Wings collection. So this is one of those examples. Roland Potter, you can see he resided in Cuba, Allegheny County, New York. It lists a marriage in 1904 to Miss Pearl Mercy of Olean. and it says page 3, column 4, and it gives the date, and that's from the Bolivar Breeze newspaper that someone indexed. There's also a Bible records index, and I think Bible records are always very hard to find, so this was a good project for the society to take part in. So they will collect transcriptions or photocopies of of Bible records, and they transcribe them and put them in these books. There's different volumes. I guess you could say there's different volumes. There's 3 different books, and then they kind of number them like this. You've got Bible Records 1. So here you can see we looked up the name Partridge, and it's in multiple different sections of the Bible records. So you've got Bible Records 1, number 12 through 13. So that could be the 12 and 13 are like the page numbers essentially within the section called Bible Records 1. So Bible Records 1, 14 through 16, that's where this one right here falls in. It's Bible Record 1, number 15. And you can see all of the partridges that are listed on this page. And then this is a different Bible Records volume. It's Bible Records 7, page 21. So if you do see something of interest, it's possible that the society may have a copy of it, a photocopy of the item. And there's a Bible records chair for the Genealogical Society. And you could email that person and they could tell you whether they have a copy of those records on file. And I think it's something like $2 they charge for a copy of that item if they have it. And on your handout, I do give that email address. So at the end of the class, I'm going to email you all a handout with an overview of everything I'm talking about today. There is a large book collection. You can see we've got the wings stickers on it. They are all in the same area, like I showed you the photos of earlier. The local history materials are arranged by county and then by town. So you can see here, we're in the Cattaraugus County section. You can see Olean, Salamanca. And let me just zoom in. So once you get into a specific county, you can see we make the county as part of the call numbers on the books. So CAT for Cattaraugus, and then it goes by town. So then there's SAL for Salamanca. So for these Olean items, it would be OLE. And then this usually has to do with the author's last name, if there is an author. So it's really nice and easy to browse these sections in the collection. There are a number of family histories, and those are in order by last name. So those are easy to browse. You can see we're in the K section here. There are a number of reference books as part of the collection. This is a set that I like. It's Map Guide to German Parish Registers. So if you see a location where your ancestor is from and you want to see where you might access the church records, both Catholic and Lutheran, you could look in these books. You can find what region. I don't know if you can see the different regions on the spines, like there's Baden and Mecklenburg, and we've got Bavaria and Rhineland. You can look for that location, and then it will tell you, it'll show you like a map of the area, and it will tell you what town kept both the Lutheran and Catholic records. And if Family Search has those records, it gives you the microfilm number. That's one of my favorite reference sets. But of course, there's other reference books in this collection as well. There's also how-to books. They also have a collection of the Wings member ancestor charts. So there is an index to those items. There's a book that sits right with these different folders of family trees. And you can look for your ancestor's name in there, and then it would point you to the right volume. So you would see a tree. And they are very basic trees, where it's just going to show an ancestral chart. These do not list sources. So we recommend that you just use them as clues, but that the trees aren't set in stone. We have many different periodicals in the collection, but one of them, of course, is the Western New York Genealogical Society's journal, which was the quarterly publication from 1974 through 2022. And for that format of the quarterly publication, there are a number of transcribed records. So you can see here some marriages in Rushford, Allegheny County, New York from the 1840s. And you can see those types of records. Some of these will be indexed in the Vital Records Index. Some of them are, some of them aren't. A lot of the earlier stuff you might find indexed, especially Vital Records in that card file that I showed you in the beginning of the presentation. This is the current, this is the list that we have. This sits with the Western New York Genealogical Society's book collection. Someone put together a list of the different transcribed records through 2007, and it's with the collection, and you can see it's in the order of by county, alphabetical by county. So we see Allegheny here first, and then it's sorted by a town if it was a township that was associated with the records. And then you can see that you can see the name, whatever we would call those records, and then you'll see the type. So like lists, funerals, might say births, deaths, marriages, burials. And then you've got the time frame, and then the issue of the journal that was published in. There could be multiple issues. This list, if you are a member, if you were a member in December of 2017, this list is also found in the December 2017 journal, which we also have on hand at the library. The current publication is the Western New York Genealogist, which starts with June of this year. And we're moving, the society is moving transcribed records. We're redoing the website, and there's going to be transcribed records put on the website once it's up and going. So the publication now focuses on a lot of different Western New York resources. So like in this particular issue, there's an article from Canisius College, and one of the resources that they have there, Marie Tidwell is doing a number of articles on Western New York historians. So this issue, it's on Orleans County. There's book reviews, there's how-to articles. There's also the microfilm collection for Wings, which it's just mixed in with the library's microfilm collection if you've come here before. One of the most popular items in the collection are the Erie County marriage records that cover from 1877 through 1935. The only other place that has these records is Erie County Hall. And then the individual towns will have their records. So this is a kind of unique find out there. Marriage records are my personal favorite vital record because the information in these records comes from the people getting married. So here you can see Charles Ellis is marrying Nettie Miller, and it gives where they live, what they do for a living. It gives their birthplace. So Charles was born in Lockport, Nettie was born in Buffalo. It gives both of the parents' names and where the parents were born. It also tells whether they were married before. So you can see here, Charles, this is his second marriage, and it says his former wife is deceased. And then Nettie, this is also her second marriage, and her former husband is living. And it says the marriage was dissolved, and it gives information about when the marriage was dissolved. There are Buffalo birth records from 1878 through 1913. These are not indexed, but they're roughly in order by date. So a lot of people do look for these and successfully find the records they're looking for. It's not too hard to look through them. But here's an example birth return. So we have Honora Collins was born. She was born in 1881. It gives the specific date. It gives where she was born, the corner of Red Jacket and Scott Streets, and it gives her parents' names, including her mother's maiden name. And this is a more rare find, but it does list specifically the locations that their parents were born in Ireland. And then it gives the midwife's name down here at the bottom. We have a collection of delayed births. Let me just zoom in here. So here's the top of the form. Delayed births were filed long after someone was born, usually. New York State didn't start keeping birth records until 1881, and the laws weren't fully complied with for the registering of births until 1914. So when Social Security started in 1936, many people wanted to sign up for that and they needed proof of their birth. So this is where a bulk of these records were made, was because of Social Security, but also for certain people that signed up for the military, especially around the World War II time period. The people that you'll find in these records were born from the 1860s through 1913. There's no index to these records, but there is a certain order to them, and there's a guide in the Grosvenor room that will help you target how to, where to look, what film to use. They're essentially, roughly in order by the year the person was born. So you can see towards the top, it has what kind of proof they used for this birth. And you can see St. Anne's listed here. So it was a baptismal certificate. You can see this certificate was made in 1942. So if you didn't know what church that they attended, you've got that clue there too. So you've got the person who's, there's a family member who usually vouches for the person who wants a certificate. So this is Anne Elizabeth Enders. You can see where she lives. This is her signature. She's an aunt to the person who's getting the delayed birth. And then here's the birth information. It has a lot of great information on it, just like the other one I showed you. You've got the date of birth, and you've got the parents' names, where the parents were born, their ages when the child was born, how many children the mother gave birth to. And this one is nice because it does list the foreign location where the parents were born in Germany. And down at the bottom, you can see some more signatures. Sometimes the person vouching for this birth certificate, it could also be like a midwife or a doctor as well. But I find it seems like it's mostly family members who do this. There are Erie County Medical Examiner records from October 1878 through June 1902. And there's different formats to these records. They all pretty much say the same type of information. This one is probably a little more detailed if you see that yours is in this format. Everyone did not have an autopsy done. These were mainly for like unexpected deaths and unattended deaths. So things like accidents, could be homicides, could be, like a younger person died suddenly and, there was no doctor attending them. And so you'll usually see the date of death, and you'll see the person's name. So this is Patrick Mcmahon, their residence. He's single. It gives his profession as a track walker. He's 44 years old. It gives a physical description, 160 pounds, 5'9", medium build, light complexion, blue eyes, light brown, and a sandy mustache. It gives his cause of death: struck by switch engine 238 Erie Road. There are a lot of railroad deaths in these records. I would say these mostly consist of accidents in these records. And it says the exact place of the death. So Louisiana Street crossing Erie Road. And then it gives a description of the clothing that he was wearing, the other personal property that he has on him, and then who that property went to. So sometimes this could be a family member. These personal effects were delivered to Timothy Driscoll. And then it'll have some coroner information. It has a description of the injuries down at the bottom. There is an index to most of these records. They were published in the journal. The library printed these out and has them on hand with right near the microfilm collection. So you can look in here for your person's name. Wings has a number of church records, and a good place to see what we have is through the library's subject guides. The library regularly makes different guides, and we look at Wings's collection and put Wings materials in our guides too. So use those guides to find out what Wings has and not just what is part of the library's collection. So this is the Grosvenor Room's webpage, and you can see over here to the right, it says guides and publications. And we've got church and cemetery records. You can see all these other different categories that we have. So the one you would look at for church records is church records on microfilm and print. We also have that same guide organized by denomination and then by town too. So here you can see the different records and how detailed this is with the church name, the dates for baptisms, confirmations, marriages, deaths and burials, other types of records. And you can see here, if it's in the Wings collection, there's the Wings, there's the Wings, there's the Wings. What's really unique about the Wings church records are that there are almost 40 churches that are very unique and you won't find many other places. So these are mainly Lutheran, Evangelical, Church of Christ, and Congregational records. Wings, when we have the funding, will microfilm to help preserve Western New York church records. So if you know of a church whose records haven't been microfilmed, we may be able to microfilm those records, and we would give the church a copy of microfilm, and then we would put a copy in the Wings collection. So these around 40 different records that we've microfilmed, they're not available through Family History Library. They're not online elsewhere. The only place they're generally found would be like at a church archive. There are a number of cemetery records in the Wings collection. Again, look at those Grosvenor Room guides for lists. Some of the bigger ones that we have, Mount Calvary, Ridge Lawn, United German and French, Holy Cross, and Forest Lawn. Again, you can see the Wings as part of the call number when it's in the Wings collection. Some of these are microfilms. Some of them might be books that someone went through a cemetery and transcribed records from the headstones. Wings does have some newspapers. We have the Amherst Bee, a few years of the Aurora Standard, many years of the Erie County Independent, which is Hamburg, and the Mayville Sentinel. There are some Canadian border crossing records on microfilm from 1902 to 1954. These are in Ancestry. They are on Family Search, but sometimes I find that the images in Ancestry aren't the best, even when you try to adjust them. Sometimes they're just dark or fuzzy. So it's nice to have this as a backup, or if you just prefer to browse the microfilm. These crossings cover Buffalo, Lewiston, Rochester, and Niagara Falls. They're very detailed, just like other passenger lists you might have seen. They'll list the person's name who's coming into the US. This gives the age of the person, that she was born in Sydney, Australia. She's 44. Her last permanent residence, the town she lived in Australia. It says she was in the country before for a few days in Chicago. And she is just traveling through. It says right here, her destination is England via New York. So she's just traveling through. But if she were settling permanently, it would often have a person's name here and their address, who she's going to live with. It gives a physical description here. So these cover people coming from Canada into the US. And it's not people who are US citizens coming into the US. It could be someone who's a resident if they haven't naturalized yet. They do track foreign residents of the US going across the border, but it could be someone who's settling permanently. It could be someone that's just visiting a relative or just, on a vacation. Wings does have an online catalog. So I'm going to stop my presentation and I'm going to show you that catalog. Stop sharing and let me share my other screen. So here's the Wings website. It'll be on your handout. And so where you want to go to is you want to go to the resources. And then you'll see over here to the right, the Zintz library, or there's a little description of the library here. You could click this link right here where it says Research Library. And this is where you would see when people are coming to volunteer. So you see there's someone coming on this Saturday from 9 to 2. And it gives a little description of the library. But right here is where you would get to the catalog. It's online as an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if that's going to show for you. So I'm going to stop and then reshare my screen one more time. So here's the spreadsheet. So you can see there's a lot of fields. I'll scroll across. If you're wondering if there's a certain book in the collection, you can see there's author. Sometimes there's multiple authors, so there's multiple author fields. There's a title field. There's even number of pages, publisher name, publisher place, call number, the type of materials. Is it a book? Is it a manuscript? Is it microfilm? And then there are a few different subject heading fields. So subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. And then there's copyright date, the language. Most things are going to be in English. And what you can do is you can keyword search. So say you wanted to see if a certain title was in here, you could scroll alphabetically. When this opens up, it's in alphabetical order. But they've got these little arrows here. Oh, okay, let me try it. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay, so you've got the arrows here and you can click on that and it brings up, you can filter the records. So let's say you're wondering, let's see, are there any titles that have catalogus in the title? You can put that in and click OK. And then it brings back a list of titles. You can see that has Cattaraugus in the titles. So you could, browse through those and see what's there. Then if you didn't want that filter to be on there anymore, you can click on that again, and you can click Clear Filter from Title. Another good thing, subjects. So you can do a subject. Let's say I'm interested, are there any church records in here? You can put church and click OK. And then it'll come up with, this is just searching subject 1. And you can see they have different church listings then. And then you can, make a list of these, or save it as a separate list to your computer and have it ready to go when you want to visit the collection. And of course, you can put on multiple filters if you want to. You could put, this field as church, and then you could refine it more and see. So let's say you want to try so you try Chautauqua, it's saying no matches. You could try Cattaraugus. It's got one item that comes up. So you could keep adding filters if you wanted to. So I'm going to clear that filter. Just have to remember to clear those filters when you're doing a totally new search. Another thing, sometimes I'm like, what microfilm records are there? You could look by media type. So if you want to just see a list of the microfilm, you could put in microfilm. And then you could browse the whole list of microfilm that Wings has. You can see we do have Census microfilm if you guys want to go old school and browse in Census Records. They do have most of Western New York counties from 1790 through 1930. And also the state, most of the New York State censuses from 1855 through 1925 for the Western New York counties. Sometimes too with Ancestry, I find the images are fuzzy or faded or something, and I like to go to the original film because it's in better condition. So that's essentially what you can do with the catalog. I know when we have our new web design, it's going to be a different kind of a catalog. So we'll have to do another class later on once the new website goes up. So that's everything I have for you guys today. I see some questions in the chat, so I'll handle those first. Let's see. When I tried to join the Wings Facebook, I was rejected. I don't know why they wouldn't let you. I would try again, try getting into the Facebook page again, because normally anyone can join. If you want to, you could shoot me an email. My email will be on the handout. And if you give me your name and your Facebook profile, I could try to give the folks who manage the Facebook page a heads up. Let's see here. Do you know if medical county examiner records are available post 1902? They might be. I don't know for sure. They're not anywhere publicly that I'm aware of. I would contact the Erie County Medical Examiner records, and usually if you're next of kin, you can get a copy of them. You may have to prove, I think you have to write a letter stating whose records you want and what your relationship is to them. I'm not sure if they will make you prove your relationship to them, but they might. The delayed birth certificates have not been indexed. No. There's a good project, right? Do we have census records from 1890? We have most of the US federal census for 1890 was burned in a fire. Nothing survived for Western New York. If you're looking for other areas, in Ancestry and Family Search has those records. Let's see here. So someone's saying, be sure to answer any questions they ask to join. So if you didn't, I think they try to make sure you're a human when you try to join the Facebook group. So there might be questions that you have to answer. It's been so long since I signed up for the group. So if you try it again, just look closely to see if there's any questions to answer. If you don't answer them, then they'll might assume that you're spam. Psychiatric Center records, those are kept at the New York State Archives. They're not open to the public for research. You can see if they happen to be in the Psychiatric Center on a census year, they will be enumerated on the census as living in the hospital. Okay, looks like that's it in the chat. If anyone else has any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions verbally if you'd like. Oh, let me see. Let's see, be a good collection to early Roman Catholic records such as St. Bridget's. We do have St. Bridget's. So yes, if you look at that church guide, let me show you, I don't know if I showed you how to get to our guides. So if you go to the library's website, and go to Research and Resources. And this link will be on your handout. Go to Special Collections. And this is where you see that page I showed you, Guides and Publications. Then you've got your categories, church and cemetery, and then church records on microfilm and print. And I can show you St. Bridget's. So it looks like that's part of the library's collection, St. Bridget's, but we do have it. It looks like some of them go back to 1853, but it might depend on the record type. Sometimes certain records didn't survive, but that's baptismal records. Let's see, baptismal marriage records. It looks like they go back to 1853. And it looks like death records don't start until 1871, and there's some missing years. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, any records early 1700 through early 1800? Maybe early 1800s, 1700s for this area, not so much. There is another, I'll show you another one of our guides that's good for that. If we look under just the general family history guide, there's early genealogy sources for Buffalo and Erie County. And what we did is we listed a number of sources in order by date. So you can see, like, there could be some Bible record transcriptions, there's books, these could include other types of records. so you can see section by section. And one of the things we did is we did look through the journal and we listed some items. This is mostly going to cover, the items we listed is mainly going to be Buffalo and Erie County. So we listed some items that were transcribed in the journal and what issues that they were published in, so that this guide you could look at. Will the library do lookups for out-of-state patrons? It depends on what it is. We don't do extensive research, but if there's just like a book you want us to look at a name, a name for, we would do that. The item has to have an index to it. We're not going to go through a whole book, page by page, but we'll do brief lookups for people. So do we have, I'm guessing this is, do we have Genesee County other than Holland Land Company records? We definitely have things like local histories. I know that there is a reel of Microfilm that had some items on it. And I'm trying to think, I think it might be some business ledgers, but I would say it's more so local history books. And there might be a few different church records that we have if you look at the church record lists. Is there any specific resource dedicated to migration from Canada to US early 1820s? As part of the Grosvenor Rooms collection, I know that there are some passenger lists. One of our guides, if you look under the ethnic and immigrant category, there's a passenger list guide. And I know it does list some early books that publish some ship registers. And I can't guarantee it's early 1820s, but it's earlier stuff. Let's see. Is there more information available online if you're a member? There's not a dedicated member site. That's our goal in the rework of the Wings website, is we're going to have things like the back issues of all the journals for people to access. And we're, Miss Michelle Bewley is on here. She's leading our transcription, our team of transcription and indexing of records. So when we find some unique things that like aren't in Family Search or Ancestry, we have volunteers that are indexing things, and those are going to go online in a members only section. So we're not sure of the exact date when our new website is coming out, but our webmaster is working really hard at doing that redesign. And I know Michelle is working really hard at getting some transcriptions together that we can put up for members once the site goes live. Some of the Lutheran church records were in German language. Does the society provide a translation service? No, we don't. There is an exciting project a couple of exciting projects that are being worked on. I know there is a group of German speakers who are translating one of the church records. I believe Miss Barbara Kyle there, who's on, she might be one of the people, or she at least knows some of the people that are working on that project. So there's some Niagara County old German script records that's one of the transcription projects that's being worked on. That'll take a while because that script is really hard to read, even if you speak that. And I think it's okay to announce this, that the library and Wings got a grant to do this project on Buffalo neighborhoods. And we are one of the things that we're putting online. It's mainly just like a sampler of different records that the library and Wings has, as well as some of the other local genealogical societies. But one of the things that we did with the grant is we had a translator translate some of the Trinity old Lutheran church records. There are these funeral records This is 1850 and earlier that are in Old German script. And the pastor wrote these really detailed obituaries of all these people. And I was excited because it's not just men, it's women too. So we hired a translator to translate those early records as part of the grant. So that will be going online. And those are fascinating to look through. You should see the detail that are in those funeral records. They have like, this person was born in the 1700s in this town, and he moved to this town where he was a shepherd for 2 years, and who he married, and the maiden name of that person, and the parents' names. And this was during a time period where one of the cholera epidemics hit Buffalo in 1849. So you see a number of cholera deaths. So that's going to be an interesting project, which we're not quite sure of the rollout, but we believe by the end of the summer, the first leg of that project will be up, and those translations should be part of that first leg. So that's something exciting that's coming up. Let's see. Oh. Okay. So Linda says when she makes a trip to the library, she usually announces on the Facebook page that she would be happy to do lookups. So sometimes people will do that. So really watch that Facebook page. Let's see, another Linda is saying, I have an index card record for a naturalization, but can't find the actual application document. Are they available for Buffalo residents anywhere? It depends on what naturalization it is. If it's something you found, there's a couple different card indexes I can think of, and one is from the Erie County Clerk's office. So you would go to the Erie County Clerk's office and they would have the records, but there's also, I know, another card file that is an index of federal U.S. District Court naturalizations. So it could be from that record set, and those you would get copies from the National Archives. You could email me if you have that document. I might be able to look at it if you want to email me an image of it, and I might be able to tell you which court it is because I'm just familiar what they look like. Usually if it's a typed record, it's probably the federal court. And if it's handwritten, usually it's the county court, but I could look at it for you if you want me to, if you want to send me a copy. Let's see here. Okay, I think that's all of the questions. Anybody else? And you can always, email me or just email the library. They'll send genealogy questions our way. Like I said, we can't do extensive lookups, but, we do offer some things, some services. And, we try to do what we can, at least to guide you in the right direction. And we love genealogy questions. So we're happy to help you. And come visit us too. Come see me. I like to see people. It's always fun when I see you guys here, and especially if you're from out of town, and then I see you come into the library, it's always exciting. Okay, that's it for today. This afternoon, I'll email you that handout with all of that information. And I did put up the classes that will be held this summer. So I'll send you a link to those classes as well. Great, nice to see everybody. Have a good day. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.